Welcome to Repum Group's Item 24, where we take you a step beyond the standard FDD. We asked ourselves, why stop at 23 items when some of the most important insights live beyond the page? Here we're breaking down the inner workings of franchising and sharing real-life strategies and stories that drive the industry forward. All right, welcome to another episode of Item 24 with Rob and Nick. And now we have official setup, Rob. Look at this. We look like we're on the Howard Stern show or something. I don't know, but this official podcast.
Now I know what to do with my hands.
You just got to hold the mic, dude.
Comfy.
Hold the mic. All right, well, we would like to start from the very beginning today. There's a lot of people that always ask us how Repum was formed and how the whole company began and why we do what we do. So we figured like the best episode to start with was with the history. So Rob, I'm going to let you start with RPM in 2017.
Oh, yeah. That's a good throwback. Man, so good memories. I was at Driven Brands, actually, back in 2017. I was VP of Franchise Sales and Development there. And I had just about sold myself out of a job. We were crushing it, and all of a sudden had not a lot of territory left. And I was faced with some crossroads, right? Like many of us, probably folks that are looking at even buying franchises have this experience. And so I actually went to a career coach, and I was like, hey, I have these options. I got an option to go take another job. My family has a business. I was talking to them about maybe getting into that business. And I also had this other idea, which was a little like crazy, but at the time and still today, it was, hey, a lot of people can, sell franchises and buy them, but getting them open, that like 9-month or 12-month period to get them open was really like a difficult thing. There wasn't anyone out there really focusing on that. So went to this career coach, and I thought for sure he'd be like, yeah, go to the family business. And he was like, well, do you have faith in yourself and faith in your idea? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, have you won in your life, like along the way? And he started writing on a piece of paper. And I actually have that piece of paper here today. It's kind of cool. And he's like, well, then you have to have faith. He's like, do you have faith, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a Catholic guy. He's like, no, you have to have faith in yourself. So he wrote faith and he circled it. And then he wrote on the other side, he goes, you got what it takes. And you just got to have faith in your idea. And so that stuck with me. Started this company. A guy named Travis McVickers jumped on board with me day one. I think it was October of 17. And we started a company that opened franchises in the real estate construction side. That was RPM, real original there, right? Real estate project management. Actually, fun fact, could not get RPM as the URL. So we ended up with RE, real estate, PM, project management, group.com. And so later we'll get into how we became Repum Group, but that apostrophe will tell you the story. So basically started the company then. We grew in size through 2-3 years. Along the path, we kept coming up with franchises that need franchise sales support. They didn't really know how to get the people in, or maybe they're getting them in, but they weren't setting the right expectation. And so from that kind of blossomed into the franchise sales arm. That was like the summer of 2019. And it was a fitness concept pre-COVID. So it was hot space. You know all about that, right? Mm-hmm. And so ended up jumping into that space that summer. Guy named Kerry Tober, still here today. Actually, both those guys are still here today, which is cool. And we launched a franchise sales arm. And we really weren't put together yet. It was just kind of starting out. And then along came 2020. And then we really kind of poured some fuel on the fire. You coming over, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, man. So that's a great story. And I remember we met in an airport, and one of the first things I said, well, we can't call the company RPM because that doesn't make any sense if we're going to go and do this whole franchise full development company. And so I think Jason Ryan, our other partner, was in there, and he's like talking about Repum. And then I called this guy I knew, Gary DeJesus, who had done a lot of branding, and he's a brand expert.
The
Procter
Jesus
& Gamble
man.
guy. Yeah. And I was like, hey, we got this concept. We're going to create a full franchise development firm, and I need your help to extract what the message would be. We flew him to Cincinnati, and then literally he came up with literally what it is, which in 2020 we formed the Repum Group, and then the 4 pillars came from it, which I thought was really cool when you had brand them, you had grow them, you had the build them, which is relabeled RPM, and then scale them. And so that was a really, really cool thing. And the thing that I saw was taking all my experience. My background was all really franchise sales, owning franchises. I had owned fitness concepts, one called Cycle Bar with 15 locations. I had worked for a big development company, had these 4 pillars, but I thought that we could amplify what they did in a good way and take it to another level. So we started it in 2020. And one thing that I always talk about is people, right? And so I knew we had a really good sales process. I knew we could go find good brands. What I knew that needed to happen if you're an agency business is your agency is nothing without good people. And my saying is always people, culture, and partnership. If those 3 things don't align, you don't have a business, right? And so we started to build those brands, started to sign a couple brands early on, some of the relationships I had early, some new brands. And then fast forward to today, I don't know if you know this statistic, but we've actually, this week, we will eclipse 1,800 licenses sold since inception. So it's a pretty cool statistic in less than 5 years.
With COVID in the middle of all that, which is really even crazier. But
so cool story around that. And I think like the rest is history. 5 years in, we have close to 60 employees, if not more now. We keep adding them. I've lost count, but it's a pretty cool story. And I think what we've created in the franchising world is different, right? Yeah. And we'll talk more about what the differentiators are on episodes to come. We're going to live them with a cliffhanger here a little bit.
But the moral of the story is you got to have faith in your beliefs, right?
Faith, right?
And if you believe in what you're trying to do and you make it happen, it turns into something great. So
yeah, that's what you do.
Oh, come on, Nick.